Welcome to Small Potatoes.
Where we give you a naughty tease of our latest Patreon episode.
Be sure to subscribe. Links are in the description. But I think on the bright side of being the sex worker is when you are in a financial pinch, and I've seen this happen so many times, that you can just say, you know what, shit, this bill is due, or I have to do A, B, and C. I'm jumping on 2 extra shifts, and it's a quick fix. It's not as structured when you're in a corporate world where I'm just going to have to wait till the 15th. So you have a
Yeah.
lot more independence, freedom, and I think it's liberating. I think women in sex work feel liberated by the money that they can make.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a powerfulness, and
Mm-hmm.
yet in an instant the world can take that power from you. It's a little volatile. But if you work hard and you put in that work, you will be booked all the time. You will be busy all the time. If you're doing it right, the numbers show it. It's
Yeah.
literally that easy. If the numbers aren't showing it, you're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to that point, it can be quite comfortable. Our busiest girls don't stress through the winter months. After the new year kind of vibe, when it does get slower because the weather in Toronto gets crazy and people are much, listen, I hate the winter. I'm much more likely to stay inside or in
Mm-hmm.
my car and be wandering into the wilderness when it's friggin' minus 40. So I get it. But if you already have that client base, you don't have to stress that. You might be seeing different clients, or that one
Mm-hmm.
client not as, maybe he only comes 4 times over the winter instead of 7, but you have enough clientele to fill those gaps. And picking up an extra shift can be quite a profitable decision.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily if you're a waitress or a bartender or something else that's more tip based, because who knows? Are people blazing a blizzard to go to, I don't know, Outback? I don't know, like maybe, but maybe not. So once you have that established clientele, that's really where the money is. That's really where the profits are. And when you get to make big changes in your life. So I think that's why we always kind of try to educate, but push our ladies to that as a goal, because
Mm-hmm.
you can see the difference between the ones that get it and the ones that don't. The ones that get it are always busy, no matter
Absolutely.
even in a panorama.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The one part I really like too is how she equated like a certain thing to the tomahawk dinner, because clearly she was an escort, which means you're
Yeah.
doing dinner date. And so, as part of all your other rendezvous and romping, who doesn't love a tomahawk steak, first of all? But we all know what that costs, right? We're talking a couple $100 just for that dish alone. So to equate, okay, I want to, upgrade my car, which means X amount of dollars to the lease every month. Okay, that's about a tomahawk steak dinner. That reminds me exactly of how I used to think about, okay, how many new verses is
Right.
is that purchase or that upgrade to my lifestyle expenses or whatever. Um, I've just never thought of it with food and dates, and like, shame on me.
Mhm.
It's also a very different era nowadays with the internet to be a high-end escort, because tomahawk dates are like whatever, that's
Right.
ordinary. And not that there wasn't luxury sex work back then, but it wasn't visible to the rest of us. It was very hush hush because there was no internet, right? This whole damn, I always do that in every episode, but still, like, it was a different time. And so to see that and then to value that, I'm like, okay, that one made sense to me, because I can equate with the costs. I can think about, okay, that's about, your phone bill plus your credit card balance, like whatever it is, that makes sense. But I love that she's reflecting on it in hindsight because she's doing better financially. But that can keep you humble sometimes too, because you might not overspend, because you know how many dicks that is. You know what
Right.
that costs somebody in a different position, or how much literal like sweat labor or vaginal labor it is to get that new car. So
Mhm.
it can really make you maybe second guess a bad financial decision, or really lay your bases out, make sure you're prepared for it, because you have to equate. That means I need that many more appointments per month, and so that means working harder, working smarter, working better, and that should be in any job, really.
Mhm.
I think commission
And I
jobs
feel
have
like
an
there's this age-old question of, can money buy you happiness? And I will say yes. Yes, it can.
advantage.
I'm a firm believer. From having money to not having money and everywhere in between. I've experienced all kind of feelings and emotions, and I firmly believe money buys happiness. It buys freedom and choice,
Yeah.
and like that's happiness to me.
Listen, I'm a big believer that true wealth is having freedom of your time,
Done. Yeah.
because there's a lot of wealthy people that are still working 80
Right.
hours a week, right?
Yeah.
Slaving in an office, can't leave the business alone, are always at the desk, blah, 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 which there's hands-on management and there's working too much. There's a
Yeah.
difference. And I think the people that are able to spend more time away from work, have more life work balance is where the wealth is. Because if you can choose what you do with your time, whether it's sitting on your sofa or traveling around the world, that's your choice. And most people don't have that choice. To me, that is better than saying I'm still slaving at a job every day,
Mhm.
but I'm also a millionaire is very different wealth to me. I'd rather have my time, because time is the one thing, no matter how rich you are, you can't buy back. Elon
Yeah.
Musk can't buy 10 years back from his life. It's infinitely impossible. And so to have that freedom, whether your life is going to be short and it ends at 60 or whether it's going to be long and you're 112, I still want to be able to choose what I do with my time and not
Yeah.
have that put on me. So I think that is also another value of sex work and why people choose it, because you can calculate, okay, that new condo is going to mean I need 10 more appointments per month to pay this bill. But that also means I can put my kid in X, Y, and Z, and that gives me Thursday night so I can do
Right.
that. Like, it really gives you freedom of choice on how you're going to spend your time and what other financial decisions you're going to make. And that's, again, ultimate freedom to me. So whether it's the richest girl in the strip club or a girl just starting, she's making a choice for her own financial freedom. And I think that's why we call it that, because it
Yeah.
literally lets you decide on your terms.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I think that's as empowering as it should be. And that's
Yeah.
as phenomenal as it should be for especially women. We love women, but all sex workers in general. Make the choice to do something with or without your body, however you're doing it. Online sex work is a very different place, but having that freedom and that kind of empowerment is really why I am always team sex work, as opposed to people that are like, oh, it's laborious and this and that in a negative light. Like, yeah, but there's no other labor we get to choose like that, right?
Right.
Like physical labor of any other kind doesn't equate that kind of freedom, especially of your time, even if it pays really well.
Hmm.
I'd rather not be a roofer in August.
Oh,
you
sure.
know, like, and you still got to get up and be at work at 7 a.m. Like, to me, that's not what I want. I want to be able to be on a beach 6 times a year, and still work, but have all that freedom. So I love that it was just a snippet of her chat, but I thought it was really insightful and a cool topic to talk about, because who knows what sex workers do with their money?